people always remember the good times and they don't remember the bad times. And there's nothing new in this world. Everything goes up and everything goes down. And who are you during those times? You have to give a little bit. You have to give and move. This is not your last deal. Some people treat it as every deal is their last deal, and you shouldn't.
Well, welcome to the Beyond Wealth podcast, Aziz Shunnara. I'm so grateful for you to come in. We met through a connection, and you have been in business for a very long time. Originally started with automotive concepts and just kind of doing car audio.
Correct.
Everything. If you wanted your car like hopping and like grooving, you were the guy to go to.
Yeah, whatever you wanted done, we did it. TVs,
everything.
Stereos, subwoofers, everything.
So did that for 25 plus years, right?
Yeah.
And
since
now
93.
Yeah. And now you're kind of in the real estate, atmosphere. Probably was always doing that along the side, but now that's full time for you.
A lot of different things along the side throughout my career.
We have that, right? We're we always got a side hustle to the side hustle to the side hustle.
I think that was my forte is hustle.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast. I appreciate you taking the time
thank you,
to hang out.
It's been it's gonna be fun.
So I want to start with your basic, talking about just general business acumen, the things you've learned. You really early on, I'm assuming, crafted the understanding of how business works, how money's made. Talk about some of those early years and some of those fundamental lessons you learned by building a business in the audio space.
In the audio space, well, falling in love with business in general. So it started when I was a kid. When I wanted something, I had to make something happen to get it. So it started with, if I didn't have money, it had to do with trades or anything like that. So I traded a lot of things, whether it's from Matchbox cards, trading cards, whatever it was. Or if you had something and I had something, even at the lunch table in school. That's where it intrigued me most of the time, of just negotiations and stuff like that, and sales always intrigued me. Helping my father out in a pharmacy when I was a kid, always put the work, and the sales transactions and buying and selling always been fun for me. Inventory and trying to promote or hustle something, that's been the story of my life since I was a kid.
That's interesting you say, because from an early stage, you kind of acknowledged like there was an entrepreneur inside of you. Like you saw the world a certain way. That's awesome.
Yes.
What are some of those early like best deals that you made maybe on the schoolyard, or can you remember a pivotal moment of like, yeah, that was amazing. Like you walk away from a deal almost and you're like,
well, not just deals, even not even about purchasing or even getting something. It's even the idea of with teachers getting away with something or talking your way out of something or negotiating your way, whether it's a purchase, whether it's talking a D into a C, or no matter what, it was always fun to negotiate and make something happen in that way. So some of the fun deals in school were that, like getting away from class and going to wrestling practice, falling asleep in the locker room, and then convincing my teachers that I had to work out for a wrestling match or something like that, and getting away out of trouble. That was fun. I didn't do anything too bad, but it was always fun
to bend the rules a
little bit. But talking your way out or talking your way through some things and getting sort of your way.
Yeah.
But not in a mean, bad way. Just fun.
Yeah.
Just fun.
That's awesome. All right. So you started the audio business.
Correct.
Help me understand kind of the model a little bit, just a background. What were some of the key things you learned? Obviously, you had to work with employees. You probably, really cut your teeth on management skills. Walking away from that, 25 plus year experience, before we get into the whole property thing.
Sure.
What were some of the big takeaways from that season of your life?
Responsibility of employees and dealing with more and more people, and putting trust in your employees and people there. That's very important. Very, very important to help your business grow. And that, I thought, going in very, very young, is I knew how to install, but I didn't know how to run a business per se. And you might have your best employees, really good employees, but there's certain ones that they need, and there's certain things that they have that you have to provide. And I didn't know that at that time. Buying inventory and selling really wasn't so much the issue. It was more of dealing with vendors and installers, customers across different clients, different people across, and different personalities, and getting to learn everybody's personality and getting to know them and to make it work for you in every aspect of the business was more important than the actual sales of the business for me.
It's funny when we break down business, and it's like every business still it's a people business.
Everything
Customers,
correct.
Employees, vendors, they're all people. Correct. And to have the skill sets to craft win-win situations
correct.
When there is conflict, or when there's a disagreement of pricing with a vendor, or an issue with a customer service, with a customer, or an employee who doesn't want to come in for work. We are in it's funny. We are ultimately, no matter what business you're in, you're probably still in the people business.
Exactly.
I
say that a lot. It doesn't matter whether you're selling little trinkets or selling houses, or it doesn't matter. It's a people business.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So talk about Duratus and some of the things you guys are doing right now, and kind of go from there.
Duratus is a company we started 6 year. We just had our 6-year anniversary.
Congratulations!
Thank
That's
you.
Awesome. That's why I brought you in, was for the 6th year.
Thank you. Thank you. We just had our 6th year. Really good for us. We expanded into the Mobile Fairhope market. We have a Duratus Academy, which is an online course, which takes not only the 6 years of business that we've had, the business knowledge that I've accumulated over time and Mara have accumulated, and put it into an online course. And this course is not so much of all the how to get rich type deal, the experiences that we've had, the experiences that we share, the resources that we've used, the different scenarios that we've done, and how to get through those things and help you be a better investor. So that was fun. We have different tiers in our company. We have a turnkey operation. We have a fix and flip operation. We have a rent-to-own program. We have your standard rental program, and we're devising different things as well throughout. That's what I love about this. It's constantly growing. So when I retired the retail stores, I moved into something that's ongoing and growing and growing. So
that's awesome. Talk to me a little bit. So market shifting, CPI just came out.
Correct.
And was, I think overall it's good in the sense of the economy is still strong, but it's showing that rates are not coming down anytime soon.
Right.
Too much of a lot of people in real estate's dismay. Talk me through the company's different strategies. It's almost like you've set y'all's systems up to pull certain levers when certain strategies work and pull back in other, ways. So, flips may be great at certain times when the market's doing certain things. Buy and holds may not be.
Right.
But then when the market shifts with rates or different, supply issues or whatever, it could flip.
Correct.
What are you seeing now with what's happening in the current market, and what levers are you kind of leveraging more, and what are you pulling back on in your investment strategies?
Well, again, all this came from my retail world, and in being in business so long, you have your best years and you have your worst years. And how do you deal with those years? How do you do that? People always remember the good times and they don't remember the bad times. And there's nothing new in this world. Everything goes up and everything goes down. And who are you during those times? Are you just Superman and you think you're the best during the best times? Or are you Superman when you're in the worst times? So for me and my team, it's who are we in the worst times and how can we get through these things? How do we endure those times? Because, the economy now, the interest rates are so high, sales were flying through the roof at one time. 3%, unheard of. Now, I just remember those times were high before.
Yeah.
And we were just spoiled. And a lot of people were spoiled. And, you get scared. You got to work on those problematic times, or the times that are really tough for you. And we diversify. And throughout my business, I diversify. So the old school hustle would come in. I have to come up with different ideas to get what I want, to get what I need, not just supply myself, to supply my employees and everybody else. So we devise something into, like I said, if the turnkey operation, if you have people with lots of money, you go to the big investors and you find stuff for them. If, each year, if it gets worse and worse, you have A goes to B goes to C.
Right.
You have to be able to diversify in those and not just focus on one thing, because otherwise it's already heart-wrenching right now. I mean, your blood pressure goes up and your blood pressure goes down. But if you stay diversified, you can kind of be medium across the board. And like I've always said, live at that medium place always, and everything that's in the plus, it's good for you. Anything that's below that, you're still comfortable, you're still okay, and you have a team to help you get through these things.
So is there one aspect of your business that you're pushing a little bit in the current market where everything's at? Is there a certain aspect of the business that you're putting more eggs in the basket per se, and other places you're pulling back, or is it kind of an even distribution for y'all?
It's not so much even. Well, because of what we've learned with the economy now, with the fix and flips, everything's taking longer in the market. Okay, but to me, it's getting back to normal. Again, we were spoiled.
Yeah, when you say longer, what kind of describe what is taking longer?
Well,
the actual fixing, the sale of it?
The sale.
Okay.
Let's talk about the sale. The sale of it.
Correct.
Because you have your contractors, you have your, time frame. You've already built that into your systems. You know how long it's going to take you to buy a house and then have it go through and then fix it. Now it's taking a lot longer to sell. There's interest rates are crushing right now, but
I would 100% agree. I have a listing from a flipper, and I don't know if we expected to be under contract in the first week, but definitely in the first month, and it's taken 2 months to get a contract.
Yeah.
Now we started high, but the guys who are flipping have a profit they need to make, and so their expectations, they're taking it to market, is to be on the high end of the market because they're bringing a newish product to the table. So you're seeing that as well on
I'm
your
seeing that as well,
flips.
and that's where you got to learn and grow and move forward.
So in your underwriting timelines, are you shifting from, say, a month on market and then another month to close it? So we'll say two months of additional hold time?
I'm extending at least a month.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're now in the 3 month potentially.
Right. 3 months is actually the number.
Okay.
I was about to tell you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Because I like diving into, we can talk about the theory of bigger stuff, but then it's like in Birmingham's market, in Mobile's market, 3 month hold time is about what you need to expect if you're flipping.
Right.
So, and I would say I would beg to say that 3 to 4, because I've even seen.
I would agree.
To a degree, knowing your ARV.
Correct.
Realizing that your house, quote unquote, if the rates were better, may technically be worth more, but right now the market's telling you it's not.
Also, you have your formulas, and people stick to what I have to make. You have to give a little bit. You have to give and move. This is not your last deal. Some people treat it as every deal is their last deal, and you shouldn't. You got to be careful. And if you're done, one and done, then okay, take your time. Yeah. But if you have other projects and other opportunities, you got to move that money. You got to keep investing and keep moving.
Is there a ratio? Because I think about someone like you who does a decent amount. You're not doing a one and done.
No.
So you have a plethora of deals. I mean, we were just talking offline before this, and I said, "What do you got going on?" And you're like, "We just bought 3, too." I think in the Mobile market, correct? So you have a lot of deals going.
Right.
Not every single one is going to be a home run.
No.
And some may be losses. Is there a percentage of over the scope of 6 months you look back and say, "Hey, our profit was on 80% of our, inventory we flipped, we are winning, and 20% is like maybe a negative or an break even, we're still good. Is there a percentage that you look back retroactively and say, I want to keep the ratios about here? Or is it
we do
piece
look back
by piece?
and look at that, but then we look at our other tiers, right?
Okay.
So we actually look at our fix and flips to move on and to provide for other long-term wealth that we want to generate ourselves. I mean, I do have an exit strategy eventually. I'm not getting any younger. So there's things that we take that money and buy certain things with. And if that slows down, then we move into a different department or different tier. There are those indicators that show we go back and look at those percentages. We do want to stay within a certain percent. I don't want to give I don't know exactly what percent it is.
But
we
gauging.
are very gauging, and we
Yeah.
are very aware, and we have our formulas, and but again, what we do on paper is not, what exists out there, things that happen out there.
Yeah.
COVID happened. I took a huge loss during COVID. I got sick. My father died during COVID. I had a house that I didn't care about what I made. I wanted to get rid of it.
Yeah.
It was set to make tons of profit. But at that time, it didn't matter to me because I had to move on and just do something different. And, again, I'm not stopping. We're hustlers.
Yeah.
We do everything. There's so many different things that we work on. So I can't just focus all my eggs in one basket. Now, we hope to gain those profits, and we hope to do those things. But the reality is it's not always going to work out. You can do your best, do your homework, and do all that. Do your very best. And not be so serious about it.
Yeah. I look back, it was interesting because I did some flips last year. I don't do it the volume you guys do, but one project was pretty much a break even. But the other project,
I consider that a good project.
Yeah, probably in the moment.
If you didn't have any losses, that's where you got to understand.
Yeah.
Breaking even and losing. I don't take losing. Yes, everything costs you money regardless. So take those losses and turn them into education. Where better can you get an education if you lose $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000? If you don't learn from them, get out.
Yeah.
Those are the best educations you can ever get. And then you create this toolbox, I'll get to that later, but of experiences that you'll always remember of those losses. But those are the best educations you can ever get.
Yeah.
And then you turn them into positive things. I know it's hard to say.
No, I mean, I 100% agree because the biggest lesson I learned from that, so I had on that project a GC who I was also friends with. And I think the lines blurred for him and for me on the project. We were trying to work together, and it was like, oh, I'll give a little here, I'll give a little here. Timelines got out of whack. And so then I had another deal that I was working on following that with someone I knew pretty well, kind of a friend, mentor of mine. And in that process, I came to a head on that deal structuring, and I was in the negative. And there was part of me that was like, I don't want to disappoint him. I don't want to, I want this deal to probably go through because we've talked about it so much. And it was like a 50-50 deal. It may have still been okay in the moment, But I ended up just saying, okay, here's the parameters to make this a win for both of us, in my opinion. But I can't be losing money every month on this deal. These are the parameters. If it works, great. And if not, no worries. And it ended up not working out for him, which is totally fine. But I took the lessons from the other one and said, don't mix. When you can still do business with friends, but when it's business, you keep it business.
Correct.
And when it's friends, just keep it friends. And if you can communicate and have that delineation, then it works. And so I think I avoided a significantly bigger problem by listening to the previous lesson.
Right.
And so even though that was still a problem, but going back to that flip didn't make much money, but I also flipped something and made it significant more than I thought. So I was like, am I going to swear off flipping completely? No.
No.
So that's good to know that you kind of retroactively in your business, break down like where we're at,
right,
gauging on it, and then moving forward.
It hurts to lose.
Yeah.
But you're gambling on yourself. You're an entrepreneur. You're on your own. You're in your own business, and you're gambling on yourself. What better, investment is to invest in you? But you got to learn. Things are going to happen, and what do you do during those times is very important.
Yeah.
And when you lose, how many bad business partners I've had. I've had tons.
A few?
A few. Tons. Matter of fact, we have a good podcast about that as well. Again, it's you're gambling on yourself, and you got to take the good with the bad, and the bad becomes highly educational.
Talk me through, circling on business partners, what makes a good one? What have you found some qualities? Are there some consistent qualities that you found like this works out because they do this?
It's funny that you say that, because Mara just had a podcast and we talked about what's a good business partner, what's not a good business partner.
We'll just link it in the...
To me, first of all, is moral values.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, a lot of people just business, and you're going to find it a little different with me. I can if I don't get along with you or know you, it's not just about the money with me. I really care for the people I work with. I really care that you grow and do well and succeed more than me, because once you gain that, then you can be better. But you have to be the person to do it. You have to be the person to care and be true to that. And don't accept, if they don't do it back, it's fine. It's okay. You have to be that. You still have to be that. And then working together that way, knowing each other, it's not just about money. It's not about you actually want one person to do well and the other person wants you to do well. That's a big factor. Also having selfish reasons. Some might have other jobs and they don't have really the time to put in. They might have the monetary value and that's it. Hey, this is you're lucky I'm giving you the money. That's my part. You need more than just that, right? So your values need to align a lot. And that's pretty much.
When you talk about that, I think about, in any partnership, even a life partner, what you attract is what you are.
Correct.
And so do you do things intentionally to put out that value system when you're having pre-conversations about partnerships? Like, hey, this is what I value, and that attracts or maybe pushes away people who don't have that same.
I do.
Okay, yeah.
I do. It's, if you talk about how I do, I'm a relationship builder, networker, negotiations. But I've learned over time, it's okay to throw that out there. You got to say no to the people that you just don't have that gut feeling, or you can't just let the finance or the money dangle in front of your face.
Yeah.
You want to have a long-term, like I said, this is not a one and done deal.
Do you have any filters for people in your life that help you vet partners? Like, maybe it's your wife or another business partner that you have in another area. Say, hey, I'm thinking about this. These are some concerns, or these are things I like about this guy or gal that I'm thinking about partnering. Do you have some of those other people in your life that help input into decisions like that?
I have a ton. That is a very good question. My favorite thing is, I talk about this a lot, is mentorship. I have a lot of mentors in my life. You got to understand, a lot of people get all caught up in this game and they kill it, and you might crush it. You might sell every house and make a fortune, but you got to understand there's a lot of people out there who will teach you something and share something with you. And there's a lot of those in my life. Growing up, from my father to my father-in-law to a lot of people in different types of businesses in the financial world, you create these mentors, you create these go-tos. I have attorney mentors, I have financial mentors, banker mentors, I have retail mentors, life mentors, just every aspect of everything that I do, everything that if a question arises, I can shut my eyes and think of the person that experienced that, and I go to them and share that with them. And they give me more than I can ever imagine, and then to help me make my decisions. And that's very important to me. And that's what's changed me as a 20-year-old guy to a 50-some-year-old guy now.
Yeah, having the openness to get feedback. You know, when you were mentioning that too, of like, I have a retail mentor, I have a lawyer. You don't necessarily go to your lawyer mentors and ask them life advice sometimes, you know,
Correct.
like, and maybe there's some overlap. Maybe there's an individual who has several areas in their life figured out.
Well, when you have lawyer best friends as well, they will give you their life experience stuff too. So, which is cool, which is cool. Really good. But digging into their world, digging into their knowledge, and digging into their experiences.
Yeah, and going to individuals for, you know, you may take a part of that mentor's life, but you don't have to take everything, because they could not be good at other things.
Well, there's a lot of things they might not value in a line. They might not be a people person.
Right.
They might not be, you know, an investor. They might not be, but everyone has something to give and offer.
Yeah.
And it's just about listening and understanding and taking that and taking the best parts of that. And that's another thing, you know, listening and just, you know, there might be something there. Whether you take and run with it, it's up to you.
Yeah.
You know, but just listen. Someone will have something that'll help you.
Yeah.
With something in your life.
That's so good. Dive into, you talk about this toolbox.
Yeah.
Kind of break into that and talk through
again,
that.
over time, everybody that knows me will always say a motto of mine is attack the heart. It's nothing new. I think it's been out there before, but attacking the heart and with people, what I just said with you, getting to know you, you know, it's not just about this podcast. It's not just about, I want to build a relationship, networking. Maybe we'll go skiing one day in Colorado. You know,
let's be clear. I'll snowboard, you will ski.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Well, I'm a little biased to that too, but I will kill myself snowboarding. So yeah, but we shared a little common ground there. We talked about a lot of things there, which was cool. But again, I wanted to know you and get to know, and there's things maybe in life that you can help me and teach me. So throughout my life and all these mentors I was talking about and the experiences, the losses that you make, instead of dwelling on them and becoming depressed, because it's easy today to become depressed and just lose it. But challenging yourself and learning from these things and taking those, and I create this, I love tools. You know, I love tools and different things and working on cars. So you have this huge toolbox behind you, and you take all these experiences and you put it in these drawers. And every single experience that you had in your life, you put them in these boxes. Even people that you know dear to your heart that had an experience, you take those experiences and you put them in. And then when those times come, you turn around and you open up those drawers. What did I do then? How did it work out? What did I lose? What did I gain? And try to establish that. But all that comes from attacking the heart and getting to know a lot of people that they're willing to give you these things openly and honestly from their heart as well. So you're being true to yourself, true to who you are, without bull crapping your way through life. You know, as a young kid, hustling was cool, you know, and I'd do anything it'd take to make a sale, but it wasn't me, you know, and if you get caught on that, that's your one-time customer. That's your one-time deal. Now you're building a lifetime or a long-term relationship, and then they're going to be constantly sharing you these experiences, and your toolbox is going to grow and grow and grow, and you have access to it. So if Todd comes up to me and says, hey, have you ever experienced this? Well, let me turn around and get to this. Matter of fact, I have a drawer right here full of stuff that I've actually experienced that. So that's how I approach a lot of things, and attacking the heart and building a good toolbox using those mentorships and those experiences. Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I love that analogy. You know, I came from the creative field, and, you know, I've referenced that a lot when I was teaching students.
Yeah.
About that. I said, you know, when you start in Photoshop or whatever it is, whatever program, like, you have a pretty limited set of tools, but then you tackle a new project, it teaches you new things, you maybe Google a tutorial or two, and then you add a tool to your toolbox.
Correct.
I would use that analogy like always. And to be honest, what's funny is I don't know why, but I have never thought of it in the context of life. I've just thought about it in the creative sphere of like, now I can make a better Photoshop thing, and I use that toolbox analogy a lot. But to pivot it to the life, I don't know why I haven't made that parallel, but you basically did, you know, and it's like I need to do that. Diving into this toolbox concept.
Sure.
How are there practices you have in your life that help you organize? And I say that in the context of like, we could have a toolbox full of 5,000 tools.
Correct.
But if you can't access the tools, if you don't know where your wrench is, if you don't know where your saw is, then you're gonna be hunting for 30 minutes to find that saw. So are there practices that you do to catalog, to remember a relationship, to reconnect with a mentor? What have you done to keep that toolbox fresh and keep those tools
That's
sharp?
where the organization comes in. I have a good team, a very, very good team that will help me organize and remember and process things. And we build processes and we build files and we do all that. And we have these labels and we kind of label everything. So in the back of my mind, I have these labels on these toolboxes. And the feelings that comes out from that experience come to life. You know, you remember when you were a kid, there's certain smells brings you back and certain things brings you back. Same thing with this. Losing money, you always have that feeling, right? But did I lose money in the retail? Did I lose money in real estate? You know, that feeling comes back and it comes back to that memory. But organizing it, creating those mentors will remind you of certain things. But there was another thing I was going to say. I just lost it for a second. But yeah, I have a collection of tools. My contractors make fun of me because I'm not, when it comes to tools, I love having them. Doesn't mean I know how to use them. I'm hooked on tools, on stuff that I don't. But you come over. Do you have a router? Yeah, of course I have a router. Do you know how to use the router?
Maybe not.
I don't, but I know you do, and maybe you can show me how to use it.
Yeah.
And then I gain that little experience from using it, or I'll call my contract. You know, they'll make fun of me. They'll come in, they'll look at that brand new saw that you have with no dust on it, and we're gonna use it. Hey, can you use my tool to I need to get it dirty. I need to do this and that.
That's
but
awesome.
I have it there, and I have someone there to teach me how to use it.
Yeah, that's great.
So, but that's pretty much everything.
Let's. Can you go back and just think through some of your biggest? I don't want to say failures because obviously we've talked about it. The concept of everything you can learn from. But what are some of the biggest struggles or hard things that have happened that you learned from in business? Specifically, like very specific stories. Can you think back to just pivotal moments that shaped who you are as a businessman?
Certain decisions I've made for monetary reasons, looking at the big picture, making the mistake of not doing all the homework first, not following your processes, not following your formulas, buying a house because of the potential of what it could make, or listening to that one person that has a deal that's too good to be true.
So it often is.
It often is. Those has happened a lot. You know, I have so many of those things. Working into the retail business, working on a really good car that they came in to soup it up, and then something happened with the cable and it burnt, right? And the engine compartment burnt down, or the electrical burnt, or something small that happens. You know, you're looking at, nothing could go wrong here. And you have this good project with good money and you have a good client. You can lose that client, you might be great, but a spark could happen. And then there goes the whole car.
Wow.
Or you overbuy on a house, you've dealt with that. You're so excited. Or we've had actually this on a podcast talking about going on auction. Your pride gets in your way. You go to auction steps, and now it has nothing to do with your formulas. It's about you winning out a bid because of the guys next to you. Now it becomes a fight or to show off. So being disciplined is very, very tough. Honing back on those things. I've got burnt on many, many things. Lack of discipline, trying to show off in those times. So yeah, buying a house that cost way too much, or underestimating the project cost, or all these things.
Yeah. I think the underestimating, there's been several deals where you just underestimate, and I try to build margin and stuff, but it's really hard to keep track of especially during COVID, and then project rates of labor were just skyrocketing, and so was material costs.
Right.
And they've come back a little bit, but they're still not low by
Right.
any means. And it was really hard to stay on top of it. It was just like housing pricing was like moving so quickly. So were those costs moving so quickly. So you could quote something, and if you didn't pull the trigger within the first like 2 or 3 weeks, like those prices probably had shifted some.
Yeah. And then in retail, you can't take back what you already told a person.
Yeah.
Right? If you already told them a price and then turned around and you're not buying it the same, do you ruin your reputation in telling that client or customer, hey, it's going to be a lot more because I messed up or I didn't estimate this properly?
Yeah.
Or do you hold your values and gain a little bit in that customer by just letting it go at that particular price and giving them a little bit of a win? What do you do there? There's a lot of things there. So there's tons of losses that I've learned. There's tons of experiences from the retail mindset to, I also have a consulting where I dab into more than just real estate, different businesses, help entrepreneurs grow. Entrepreneurship is one of my, I love it. As I told you as a kid, it's just, I've always fell in love with it. And watching young people grow in something, their ideas, and helping them build it and getting a chance to invest in that is fun too. And you kind of build, this is the other thing I wanted to talk about, accountability. Have people in your life that are accountable for you as well. Because again, we're going to fall, we're going to fail. You have enough knowledge, Todd. You're smart, but you get in these depression modes and you get into these, I lost a lot of money here. I'm never going to be able to do it again. Or how do I do this? And you have these people in your life to pick you up and say, that's not who you are. Get up, get back to what you're doing. That just was one thing that happened. You have to have a lot of people that are accountable for you, not just to tell you how awesome you are, to tell you how you screwed up, you messed up, this is who you are, this is what you need to do, and get back on the track, get back on the horse, and keep going.
It's so important. I mean, it's fundamental because it's not if, it's when.
Yeah.
You will, quote unquote, and like I said, I hate using the word failure because we have attached it to a negative when really, at the end of the day, it's only a failure if you fail to get back up and learn.
Sure.
But a struggle or a failure, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's how you react to that. And you're right, like accountability, mentors, relationships, network, help pick yourself back up and say, okay, this is who I am. We're going to get the next one. Made some mistakes, or
you're going to make them over and over.
Yeah.
And again, if you make the same mistake without accountability people, then get out.
Exactly.
You know the deal on that. But yeah, that's very, very important.
There was a book, and I wish I remember it, but effectively they were talking about how do you predict, market swings, and how do you all of these different trends and things could have happened. And so he's kind of like a historian. Like I said, I wish I could remember the book, but basically looked back on history, and there was no common denominators to things. The only common denominator is that something is happening.
Yeah.
No one could have predicted completely the Great Depression, COVID.
COVID was
wars,
rough for me.
Like there's so many different things. You can't predict it, but all you can predict is basically build in margin in everything you do.
That's right.
Because something will happen
Sure.
at some point in time.
Sure.
And so I would say in addition, margin would be building accountability.
Right.
building mentors, building that toolbox, so that when those hardships come, you may have a bad day or two, but you're not going to have a bad year. You may have a bad, season, but you're not going to be out for the count.
That's right.
So, so many lessons learned. I want to dive into.
Sure.
You've talked a lot about networking.
Yeah.
It's been fundamental to finding mentors, business clients, vendors throughout the years for not only your previous businesses, but what you currently do now. What are some of your best tips, advice to building a strong network and how to find great connections?
In the financial world, like I know a lot of bankers. I deal with a lot of bankers. So I'd go and sit with them, meet with them, go to the higher ups and get to understand who they are and include them in my business. So when I want to go it alone, per se, I don't just go in there and go, hey, I'm opening up this or I'm doing this and I need a loan for this. I go into detail what I do and how I do it, and I want to include you in it and to learn the type of business and learn who I am. To gain friends and to gain networking, they need to know who you are. You can't just go after them for what they have and what they can do for you. You got to kind of expose yourself a little bit. This is where a lot of people make fun of me a lot. I talk a lot. I get to know you a little bit, and we'll have ongoing conversations, but it instills in you. You remember me. And I attack the heart a little bit. I care about what you do and how you do it. I get to know you personally as a person, and then we talk business. So we build like a little connection there, build a little friendship there, knowing who we are, family, knowing your values, and then try to learn from them and teach them what you're doing as well and include them. So in the banking world, I include my bankers in a project or how an RTO program. If I'm doing a pitch on something, they join me, or I would send them the pitch first. What do you think? Would you involve yourself in this? I get them to think outside the box, not just monetary. I get them to think that they're dealing with a friend, not just a business deal. So there's a lot of different ways to network as well, but you do have to expose yourself a little bit, open yourself up a little bit so they feel more comfortable with you, not just that you're looking to get something or to get something out of them. It has to be more than just that. And for me, my team just brought something up the other day. We were talking about, just in case you asked me about a particular story.
Yeah.
Right? It happened at the SEC championship. I was with a group of people, and we're at this bar dinner type area. We're just a casual eating place, and I was sitting there, and there's this young man that came and sat alone to the right of me, and I was at this table full of friends, nephews and best friends, and we're at the SEC championship, and this kid. I say kid, a young man, wore this hat, and it was cool. It had a cool expression on it, and I don't want to say what it is, but it was pretty funny. And I kept staring at him, and I looked at him, and I was at the table, and some of these people at the table with me are like a little conservative, a little shy, or knowing who I am. I looked over and I said, I want that hat. I want that hat. And they're like, how are you going to get that hat? So I got up, and I sat down, I introduced myself. I said, hey, I just want to tell you, I really like that hat. It's pretty cool. I'd like to buy it from you. So here comes my negotiation skills, my upfront, getting to know who you are, telling this and that, being really blunt, saying, hey, that's a cool hat. Now I established value in the hat to the guy. So it's really wrong for me to do that, but it's okay because I want the hat.
Yeah. I think even in that moment, you're building a relationship.
Well, wait a minute. Yeah. So I get there. So I'm sitting with him. He's like, hey, I'm not selling this hat. I said, what do you want for the hat? He goes, I'm not selling this hat. It's a cool hat. I said, what do you want for it? He said, I'm not selling this hat. So I go, all right, if you think about it, let me know. I'm sitting across from you at the table. So we're sitting there, and my nephews are like, what'd you tell him? I said, I want the hat. And I said, I'll get the hat by the end of the night. I'll get the hat. And they're like, no. So we had a little bet going. And
Probably more than the hat was worth. You're like,
I don't care. I just wanted the hat. But
Yeah.
It's more about the negotiation.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's more about the networking as
Yeah.
well. So this is who I am. So I kept looking across the table and winking at him and throwing up two fingers, $20, $30, $20, $30, like waving my hand, like, come on, sell me the hat, sell me the hat.
Yeah.
So towards the end of dinner, the guy looks at me and is like, hey, I think there's something about this guy. It's just something that I must have just triggered. And he looked at me and said, come here. So I went and sat down. He goes, what do you do? Who are you? And I told him about Duratus. I told him about my consulting. I told him about entrepreneurship and how I love. He says, as a matter of fact, I'm getting out of school. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I want to start investing. I don't know what to do. There's a lot of things in my mind. I said, well, as a matter of fact, this is what I do. I handed him my card. I said, look, this is not a business. Let's just talk about this. What is it about your life that you like? What is it about? What is your values? What are you looking for? Are you looking to get rich? Because that's not going to happen. All this stuff. So I left my family. I left my table. I left all these guys. And I'm sitting with this guy. And I said, I tell you what. Now it's not even about the hat. Okay. I'm talking to this guy, and here's my card. Call me anytime. Let me get to know you. Whatever it is that you need, let's do lunch. You're in Atlanta. I'm in Birmingham. Come to lunch. We'll talk about business. We'll talk about consulting. We'll talk about all kinds of things. Maybe I can help you. Maybe I can't, but we can build a friendship. And I get up to walk away. I said, call me anytime. He said, thank you. He goes, do you really want the hat? I said, I do. He goes, give me $20 for the hat. I get it. I take it back and I throw it on the table. And then he was like, how did you get the hat? Well, it ended up not even talking about the hat at the time. He ended up knowing I wanted the hat, had something that he wanted from me, and let me buy the hat. Turns out that when I took the hat home, this hat underneath was this particular artist or whatever that that my boys knew. So it was a trendy hat. I had no idea, but I just liked the saying of the hat. And I got it. And the people at the table were like, you just bought a hat from a stranger? Well, it wasn't a stranger after. And then sure enough, about a month later, he came to my office. We had lunch. We talked about different strategies, different things, and he calls me every now and then from Atlanta. We talk about different things and watching him grow.
Man, I love that story, and it highlights the attitude, the posture of a networker, the posture of someone who builds relationships, the posture of someone who looks for a friend and ends up with, well,
that's what I'm saying.
How can you add value?
That's what I'm saying. You value them. You throw stuff about you. You don't always have to come in as the mentor. You have to go in as the mentee as well. You know, you can't just throw yourself. You don't know what a lot of people are going through in their lives, and a lot of people throw you their best face. Hey, I'm doing this. Hey, I'm doing that. I have this. I have that. You don't know if they're hurting. You don't know if they're really. And that's okay. You can't show off to me anymore. At this stage in life, if you're a multimillionaire or if you're not, it's who you are. Yeah. God bless you if you are, and God bless you if you're not. But what's going on with you and all that stuff, that means more to me. And that's what gains relationship. That's what gains in networking. So when these bankers hear me talk to them, they want to get involved with me. And I can't just make it about the deal. A no is no with me. If I try whether I network and it's not a good deal, they're going to tell me no regardless. But if they're intrigued and they want to get to know me and want to work with me, I'm going to have a better chance, better relationship. My first deal wasn't based off my financial background or my experience in the real estate world. It was solely based off my relationship with my banks. Mm-hmm. And I had to take them with me to prove to them that I can do this, and this is tell me the hoops I have to jump through. So when I sit with you and then you tell me what I have to do and I do them, I expect you to listen to me after I listen to you.
Yeah.
So
that's so good. When we were originally talking about this interview, we talked about just through COVID, and I think To a degree, the mindset that is current society is the now, the quick money. You can be in the stock market with, and crypto and make, 5 extra money overnight and pull it out and wow, I'm awesome, right? Real estate, for the most part, is not that way.
No.
And talk to me a little bit about that, what you've seen over your career as far as gains, longevity, things that make you not a flash in the pan in this space.
Okay. Well, Duratus, our company name, means to endure. It's Latin to endure. So I think you had this question before or with me. What is a trait that you picked up in the real estate? Well, endurance is the biggest, and that's what Duratus is. It's a long term of generational wealth that we want to gain later on. It's long term. You know this. It's not short term. It's not a get rich quick scheme. All those deals, you know how those turn out. It's more pain than it is gain. And what is it that you want? Well, for me, it might be different than my partner. For me, I'm getting older. I need, to build some residual income coming in. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know. Mailbox money always been pretty cool to hear, but how to build it was never really taught. So again, to endure and discipline. So to me, endurance is the longevity of real estate, right? The discipline is the financial part. So there's 2 things of traits that I've learned. Discipline, which is in the financial world. You might have the money, but you might spend it too quickly. Or you might not have the money and you overextend yourself. So being disciplined, saying yes and saying no to certain things, knowing those margins that you were talking about, knowing your formulas, and not just letting the Todd or everybody come up to you with a deal and letting them go by themselves when you really can't do it, and not letting the sale drive you. Look at the very long term, look at, the overall, and be kind of disciplined in this field and endure a long, again, this is not a one and done. If you're in it for the long haul, then you have to take the good or the bad and then build those toolboxes and learn from all those things. And hopefully each project gets better and better. Then you might find a line in what you're building to be the best. And then you can drop all of it, everything else but that line if you want to. And as you get older, you can work your way and build those accountability partners up, build these younger people that are in your business, build them up to work for you later on down the road. As you work your way back, you're giving more to these incredibly good people that they deserve to do well. They work hard for you. They do all these things. They teach you certain things and give back, and then give them a good piece of the pie. Give them and then they'll constantly work for you and work for themselves and have something for themselves, and kind of give them a little bit of have them build their own toolboxes and share those things with them. And then you'll have a network of people doing stuff for you always. Always. I have one of my employees always make fun. You got so many people doing everything for you. They're just willing to do stuff for you. Taking notes and doing this and doing that all the time. And I'm like, I don't know what I've done, but I create that personality. I really truly care about you. Therefore, it reciprocates by them doing stuff for me as well. Yeah.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win, and that's our model too. That's in every quarter that we talk about. It's in everything that it's our win-win scenario for everyone. Whether it's in business, whether it's in life, whether it's you have to create that.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not trying to sound like I'm awesome on this and that. These are the things that I've learned in my life that are more important to me than the financial. Seeing you grow and do well is better than, something that I'm looking to have for just a day.
Yeah.
Everybody just looks at the big win and this and that. Well, who are you with the money and who are you without the money? Mm-hmm. That's the question. And that's why networking and relationship building is so important. And having that mentorship is so important.
That's so good. That's so good. What do you feel like Duratus is doing in the current market? Just very specifics of deals that you are or are not taking down. Are you doing more? You talked about the rent to own model.
Yeah.
Are you doing more or less of that?
I want to do a lot more of that.
Okay.
We are creating good strategies. We're creating different opportunities. One thing about the RTO program, it's a rent to own, nothing new. But there's a Duratus way, there's our way, which is very interesting and cool. We're constantly developing that program. But what I fell in love with, again, is networking in a certain market. We are in a Hispanic market. We're networking really strongly there. It's so much that it's not even about it's a good rental program or a good program. It's what we're building and what we're gaining is the fact that I'm watching more and more families have opportunities to get a house. A lot of people, whether it's in the Hispanic market or we take gambles, right? We take gambles. Why not be the bank and gamble on providing someone with a home, and watching that.
Yeah.
You get more marketing, free marketing out of that. One person tells another, one person tells another. You are providing an opportunity for families. We are involving other investors to convert certain things. We are teaching investors to convert into RTOs themselves. We're off our program just to teach, not just to sell it for you. So there's a lot of things. There's lots of win-wins there. But really, for me, watching these families gain and watching hard workers get something and feel that they're a part of something, and watching rental tenants or clients become homeowners in different ways. Yes, there's different strategies. Yes, there's higher interest rates. Yes, it's it can be not dangerous, but like you're the bank now, so there's a lot of you can get messed up in as far as not being paid, but so is the rental game.
Yeah.
So is everything else.
Yeah, I mean, it's all risk reward.
Yeah.
I have a specific question. So how do you structure it if you currently have debt? Then or do you have to own the asset outright to do a rent to own, or can you have debt on it and then re-debt it basically to someone else? Does that make sense? Like, I'm not as familiar with the rent to own
Well, there's
structure.
different programs. There's different structures, right?
Okay.
There's different things. A lot of them were converted from older rentals that I've had over time that are converted.
And so you own like 100% of the equity.
Some I do.
Yeah. And so the rent to own is seller financing almost.
Seller financing. Yeah. Like, again, no, there's nothing new about an RTO.
Yeah.
There's nothing new about a lease to own. There's nothing new. But the strategies that Duratus comes up with and that I've came up with the team are constantly growing. Mm-hmm. I'm not sitting there saying I invented anything, but the way we do things is a little different.
Okay.
And cool. Again, I incorporate my mentors. I incorporate people that have done this, or incorporate and throw a Z model or a Duratus model into it. Throw in the heart thing. We throw in different things, which is gaining a lot. Now we're gaining a lot more investors that want to do the same thing.
Yeah.
We're gaining a lot of different things here. But even if you have a great banking relationship, where it gets bad is now the interest rates are so high. Buying at 3-5% is a no-brainer. Use their money versus using your money. But I've wanted to get into the banking game. So there's a lot of times I use my own bank. My bankers will hate me for saying this, but they know me very, very well. They're like, hey, you're becoming more of a banker than it is.
You're more of a banker than we are.
There's a lot of strategies, but I'm loving the banking world. I'm loving the financial world. I'm loving that. But again, it's a risk. It's a gamble, right? I know what I'm getting into here. You risk renting. You're risking the maintenance issues. You're risking, people not leaving, squatting. There's all kinds of stuff. Flipping, you're risking all kinds of things. So doing your homework and creating, but the better win is watching people gain something. And you're not just about you anymore. And you're watching your team get to know your clients and the tenants and their families and having this relationship and this network. And they're willing to give you their money because they know you care versus just a slumlord attitude or just I have 50,000 rentals or 100 rentals and stuff. It's different.
Yeah.
It's different. So that it's that difference that makes the difference for me, and that incorporates my values of what I want. What is it I want now at 50 as I do in my 20s?
Yeah.
Do I want to show off with a nice car and all that stuff? Yeah, those are momentary things that I can show off to Todd. But what does that gain me? What does it gain me to show off to you? Walking in here telling you I have over 100 houses. We're projected. We can sit here and talk about all the stuff that we've done. But what are you learning from it? And how do you really trust me if I don't tell you all the stuff that I've done and failed and learned from and gained? We're going to have just a short term. This is who he is. Yeah, I might give this perception of being this awesome guy selling, flipping, and doing all this stuff. But that's it. That's all I get out of you. And that's all you get out of me. But there's a lot for Todd to offer me that I know that you're teaching me here. You make me comfortable here at this podcast. There's a lot of things that I'm learning over time. There's things that you've done that might not be monetary, but there's things that we're going to gain in life later on down the road. Yeah. And that's what's way more important to me. And you build that, it's always going to come back to you, whether it's in finance, whether it's in real estate, whether it's in friendship, whether it's in something that you've dealt with, in your life that could help. There's always a gain somewhere. Or even, forget the gain for me, even if I do something for you, which is more beneficial for me than it is the gain. So to me, that's my values, that's my life, that's my networking, that's everything to me. And that is the discipline, and not just looking at the monetary and what I have. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
It's also an interesting thing. I think every entrepreneur goes through a journey of, you have to know the nuts and bolts to make money.
Right.
Like, don't get me wrong. You got to know your ones and zeros and all that kind of stuff. But I think everyone goes on a journey, and I continue. I don't think you end ultimately, but you kind of are like, what am I doing all this for?
Right.
What is the freedom of time of like all that? Or is it just literally to make more money? Because we both know that it's kind of a dead end.
Sure.
And so to talk through that, like even through the business, I see that you see it as an opportunity to provide value to others and help teach people, and with the academy and
right.
and all those different things, you see it, it's a pathway also to even be a place to help people. The business itself, it's not like you see the business itself is going to make money and then I'm going to have free time to help people. It's all symbiotic. It's all
Correct.
one thing of a lifestyle of networking and providing value and teaching and learning, and it's just a life
right.
flow, if
right.
that makes sense, which is phenomenal.
Again, it took me a long time to learn, and you pointed that out. Service to others is the best. Now, I'm not trying to plug in religion. I'm not trying to plug in any of that stuff there, but it does mean a lot to me, knowing who I am and what it means. So service has generated me more value and more to others, and watching them gets me out of depression, gets me out of a lot of things. If you have those toolboxes and you're able to help somebody with something, do it. You'll feel better about yourself. You'll feel better in general. You offering something to somebody without looking at that value, without gaining, but at the same time, it comes back to you. It does, without really asking for it. And there's a lot of friends in this industry that I know that have that value as well.
Yeah. Well, what I love about this interview too, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, is we could have dived into how many properties you have.
Sure.
There's a lot to boast about, if you will. If you want to see some kind of validation of Aziz knows what he's talking about, we could go through the stat line of this is how many cars you've renovated and how big your business was and all that. And we didn't touch on any of that, because at the end of the day, this conversation is a lot more about the the OS, the way an entrepreneur operates,
Correct.
deeper than just the ones and zeros. And
Right.
so I've learned a ton from this conversation, and I appreciate you taking the time to dive into, you know, the intangibles sometimes of our journey. It's just been super valuable. So,
well, thank you so much. And this is what makes sense to me. Like, I have it listed of what, you know, just in case you were going to ask me.
Yeah.
We flipped this many houses. We're on track to do this much money. We're on, you know, yeah, we're successful. We are. But it's because of who we are and the team that I have. Because of Mara McGraw, you know, her vision is really good. And how we all pull together, have that accountability, have that mentorship, and have all that. To me, you take all those things, throw it away, and I'm still successful.
mm-hmm.
You know, it's really good. That's the key.
Yeah.
That's the key.
If someone wants to get a hold of you to learn more about the Academy, to maybe become an investor, to have these conversations, how do they reach out?
You can find us on duratusproperties.com. And Duratus is spelled Duratus, properties.com. You can find us on there. You can find us at duratusacademy.com. You can follow us on all the platforms. My team makes fun of me. I am not good at social media. They make fun of me all the time. I have a great marketing team. Wonderful, wonderful. They laugh at me all the time. You know, I say the old dad jokes. Put me on the Instagrams and, you know, put me on the Facebook and all that type of stuff. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We're on all those things. If you want to get a hold of me and network with me and just chat, it doesn't have to be a business deal. It's Aziz at duratusproperties.com. Just AZIZ at duratusproperties.com. Email me. If you can find my phone number or business number on our website as well. I'd like to talk to you about our Duratus Academy. It's a really, really good program. A lot of our experiences. It's an online course, which is really, really cool. We just poured our heart into this course, and it's not a get rich quick type deal. It's you know, we have a lot of resources in as well, and how to deal with bankers, how to deal with your tax, how to find an accountant. You know, I didn't even tell you about the problems of finding an accountant, how difficult that is. You know, dealing with people in that way, dealing with all this stuff. So there's a lot of good things to learn. Or even let's talk about, you know, my consulting. I consult in every type of business that there is. We can talk about business. We can talk about life. We can talk about all kinds of things. Let's network. I'm sure I can learn from you as well as you can learn from me. There's something that we can trade and share. Getting back to the old school deals that we can do that. And then later on in life, maybe there's something down the road that we can partner up with, or you have something you want me to buy, or I have something for you to sell. And
in addition, you have a podcast, correct?
We do have a good podcast.
And you talk about buying houses on the courthouse steps.
We have a lot of good funny stories. We have a lot of good stories that relates to our conversation today.
Yeah.
Mara McGraw does a fantastic job in that.
I love it. So we'll link that in the show notes.
That would be great. It's called Mastering Real Estate. And you can find it on all the platforms, in the social media platforms. You can find them all there.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much for the time.
Thank you. Thank you for making this easy. And
learned a lot.
This was great. Thank you so much.
All right. We'll stay in touch, boss.
Thanks.